Greetings, everyone. Hopefully you can all hear me. I see a little thing by my face here that it should be talk. You should be able to hear me. Welcome, welcome. Mal, Michelle, I'm assuming you can hear me. Musashi, yeah.
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 Hi, guys.
Beautiful. All right, how's everybody doing? Today is such a really gorgeous day here in Dallas. I don't know, it's like not too hot, about 75 degrees, complete sun, mostly completely clear blue skies, a couple of clouds, just really exciting. And of course, it's Friday, so happy AMA Day, everybody. Get ourselves set up here. Good to see everybody in the audience. Seeing some new faces, or you guys also all just kind of changed up your names and icons, which probably not, probably not. Gosh, and I still didn't install this on my iPad, but I do see, some old favorites. Dash, I see you there. Welcome back. Pixel Mouse, yes. You guys know that when you look at the app on your iPhone, it doesn't show the full name, right? So short names it does. Grok this, see you. Off grid dot dot dot. What does that say? Off grid rancher. Yes. Zach, welcome. Everybody here. Getting ready to start. I think we got a fun agenda. We got some cool stuff to share. A little update on the swap. And man, just so much. Volcron's joining us back again today. After being out, and my goodness, that list looks a list of stuff he has to share looks humongous. Humongous. And yeah, a lot of updates happening. Dubstep saw you last night. Note about you've seen all the updates. SK has been doing an amazing job. There's been a update every single day: Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even last night, Thursday. I hear she also has plans to have another update out today. We'll see if that can happen, because she's really just knocking it out of the park. All right, what time is it? We've got a minute or two. How's everybody on stage doing? Good. Is it as nice weather as where you guys all are?
Oh yeah, it's crisp and beautiful.
It's cold and rainy here.
Oh.
It's summer here,
Snow
so
here.
sunny.
Yo, Mal, it's snowing where you're at?
Yeah, snow in England. Nice. Not that thick, to be honest. Most of it's melted now, but boy, it was a bit thicker in the morning.
When I think of England, and no offense to everybody from the UK, I don't think of snow. It's just not. I don't think, oh, that's a nice snowy place. I know there's snow there, but it just doesn't hit me that. Yeah.
Mostly just rains, to be honest. And then we get this abysmal amount of snow that breaks the whole country for a day or two. It's sad.
We have that abysmal ice that breaks Texas for a day or two, or a week, depending if your power goes out, like happened to Volcron. I don't know. Seems like how's everybody else? We all good? Is it time to start?
We can do that.
Okay. Well, let me just go ahead and kick us off. Welcome everybody to the March 10th, 2023 AMA with the Townstar team. We're super happy to be here and super happy to have everybody join us as we have been doing every week, almost every single week, and we might have missed one or two since July. It's been a great journey. Again, we've got a lot of cool stuff to share. And so I'm just going to let Michelle go ahead and kick us off and take us away. Go ahead, Michelle.
Awesome. Let me know if you're hearing any weird echoes in my background, because I'm both Townstar Game and Michelle today. And I can't figure out how to mute my other cell phone. So I can hear myself in the background, which is really strange. But anyway.
Sounds all good. Sounds good.
The Townstar live update for this week. We had competition this week, fancy cakes. It was the first week for the corrupted portal. People seem to really like that. It's got a couple weird bugs, but we're working them out. Let's see. The only other update that I have for a question that someone asked yesterday was when the bakeries and cakeries that are a free gift will be sent. And I think we were going to do Monday for that. I believe Top YQ said Monday. So anybody who bought 2 bakeries or 2 cakeries will get a free one of the opposite on Monday. That's really all I've got for Townstar Live updates.
Sweet, sweet. Well, maybe we should jump onto the big giant list Volcron has.
Yeah. Well, it's a safe list because it's gone live. So no spoilers. But yeah, I thought it'd be useful maybe to talk about some of the stuff that went live. Maybe hasn't gotten the technical, I don't know, broadcasting that it deserves, and what it means, like sometimes behind the scenes. If you think that would be interesting to people, like I could just say like, oh, we added a unit/building indicator in version 1.0.14. And that's kind of cool. But then you think about it for a second and you're like, how does that work? Like, how does it, how do we move a VFX with the unit and stuff like that? So sometimes the work that we do is, as devs, like it's creative not in the way that our artists are creative, but it's creative in the way that like we have to come up with elegant, rapid solutions that are easy to debug and maintain. And that one was kind of a good example. There's a lot of ways you could do it wrong. And yeah, that was 60 seconds on line 1 of 300. So buckle up, guys.
Buckle up. Buckle up. Volcron's got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Is that about 300 minutes, do you think it'll be?
That's right. Well, I just so I was out of the office a fair amount, and some of these things, of course, I've looked at almost probably 60 to 80% of it, but there were a couple surprises, and just going away for a couple days and then coming back and seeing how much progress was made really drove home like the velocity on this team to me. Like when you see it every day, it's like, yeah, of course there's a million commits, but seeing stuff go live, oh, it's just wild. So yeah, I don't know if anybody noticed the rescaling of the sleep VFX. I know there were some people that did not like that. By the way, I'm reading Discord. If y'all want to say things, ask whatever, let me know. And then there were a lot of VFX changes as well, which I'll just kind of go over them as each one. So in version, that's a good microwaved brain image. Yeah, so the VFX and sleep effects to the refinery and water facility buildings. Now you think like, hold up, why would you have to add special sleep effects to one building? Shouldn't it already be in there to all the buildings? Isn't there like a catch-all logic or, something like that? Well, there's a lot of different ways you can design a system. Sometimes you could be, if you guys are Ruby people, you could say like convention over configuration, right? Where if you don't say something by default, it's going to fall through. And then there's kind of the more explicit way where you say like, I'm in a state in a very declarative manner exactly what must happen in all cases. And we found a balance between these two where it's like, we don't want to be too noisy when we're defining these buildings in our configs because that's annoying and it can be error prone. But we do want to have the flexibility to say, okay, well, your VFX for being sleepy are going to be, yes, the beautiful Ruby. Your VFX are going to be a blue Z, or they're going to be shaped like little Farmer Michelle heads, or whatever. So when you see things like in our change logs, if they get published, and it's like add sleep effects to the refinery and water facility buildings, that was probably a pretty quick change, right? But it still has to get prioritized against stuff like creating new construction complete with the bats for the haunted mansion. Who in the call has haunted mansion pieces, or who in Discord? Give me a little bat. Let's do a little bat here. I think it's one of the cooler NFTs we've got. Anyway, yeah, so there were some other VFX for Haunted. Oh, nice Tesla. And Zoomer. Willow's got all of them? Why am I surprised? Yeah, so great. So that was a particularly fun VFX. I know the person, I don't know if the person that worked on it is listening, but very cool. And then, gosh, I don't know how technical we're gonna go. I've only been at this like 6 minutes, so cut me off if I start rambling too much. Um, but let's talk for a second about server status, because everybody's like, "Oh, cool! I want to play this cool multiplayer game," and all we think about is like what we see on our screens sometimes. And the only time the server comes to mind is when you're disconnected, or it's slow, or there's lag, or whatever. So a lot of the invisible work that goes on, on our server, is a result of not just the Townstar dev team, but also like the Gala DevOps team, who are just awesome, super smart dudes and dudettes. And so one of the things that we've done on the back is, this has been in there for quite a while, but it's worth talking about, is our server health status. Keeping track of, and there were some changes that went out last week about this, keeping track of the server health. How's it doing on RAM, CPU? How about the players that are connected? How are the errors and all that? And, we have all sorts of internal tricks too, where you have to announce, like, is my flux capacitor overloaded? Is my, retro encabulator properly initialized or whatever? Those sort of things were done to our server health status. So our goal is to support as many players as possible with our servers for as cheap as possible, because why spend money you don't have to? And also, it can be a really nice technical showcase for Godot to say, hey, look, this server's running, and then maybe we'll share the stats sometime. This particular server has this many players supported. And that's something I'm particularly excited about, is sharing back with the Godot community, getting on the showcase, showing like how great of an engine it is. Honestly, the more I work with it, the better it gets. And who's excited about Godot 4? I'm not saying we're doing anything on it. I'm not saying we're not. I just wonder if I just I just wonder. Yeah. No
I'm not saying
spoilers. I'm just
we're
saying
gonna
there's a
do it.
lot of videos. Come on,
Oh my
guys.
god.
Nav mesh. Lyco doesn't like TSAMA on Twitter. DeFi crypto, what's the current capacity? 20% on server 17. Okay. Okay. All right. So back to the list. I don't know if is anybody paying attention to our version numbers? Probably not. You guys probably are just like, refresh the page. But that's something I wanted to talk about a little bit, even though it hasn't gone out yet. Right now, currently, we do a deploy, and sometimes you may have to refresh the page, but we want to get away from that. We've built in the foundation, so we don't have to do that. It's not going to be there forever. We're not going to make you guys refresh the page every time there's an update. It's there for now, every now and then. Not every update, but just letting you know. 1.0.0 win. Only evil, only if Farmer Michelle or Mal says to. All right, so overall, from 13 to 14, so there were 5 releases over the past week. And from 13 to 14, the changes that went in, it looks like there were about 25 separate changes that went in, which is pretty significant. And then the next one, from 14 to 15, there was fix. You know, we had interactive prices, names. I think this one went out 20 hours after the previous one. And crafting updates. Worker labor costs. All that good stuff. Oh my gosh, there's 3 more updates to go over. I might have signed myself up for too much.
I think
Check.
what if you just kind of cover like you just did, like the number of changes, because there's a significant number, but then maybe the high points, 1 or 2 of the key things that you see in them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, version 16 was interesting because there were a lot of fixes to the ornaments and the ghost cards. And there were a couple of refactors. Some people, so who's listening that's a dev? I want to hear, like, what's your opinion on refactoring the book if you've read it? Refactoring. Because oftentimes what will happen is a dev will be like, oh, we need to refactor this code because, you know, it would be prettier this other way. But one thing our team is really excellent about, but it can turn into navel gazing, right? And one thing that our team is really excellent about is we have to pick and choose our battles about, well, if we're going to refactor something, it really has to save us time in the future. So there were some refactors in 16 that were good. Different types of outputs, some storage priority changes, and then a little bit of the naming stuff. And there were some crash fixes in version 16. And then a day later, this huge list on 1.0.17. I couldn't believe it. I mean, so good God. Yeah, there was a lot.
Technical. That's your technical opinion? A lot?
Yeah, there was okay, so there was 40 changes that went into 1.0.17 since 1.0.16, which was only a day prior.
Yeah.
So if you think about the paths, right? Like you start at home and there's 6 roads to get to, the store, and each road is a separate version, and it all kind of comes together in the future at one point, but they're all getting launched at different times, and it's working out really well.
So here's one of the things I noticed, or one of the things we've talked about recently in the discussions about what to get into builds, is this idea of merge request. With the devs creating so many different changes, there's an effort to review them and get them into the game. So I think you guys have kind of picked up that pace and basically are feeding SK's pipeline of QA, right? You're basically, here's a bunch of changes and she's processing them and then kicking out the release. Is that the way that it works?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
yeah, it's so we have one path that Legendary SK sets up for us. She's like, here's the next release branch. If you know something you're doing is going into the next release, make your merge requests into here. And then that way it's in a special little safe place. And then over in another room, virtual room, all the crazy chaos where things are coming together, like precision placement, and then like the video we're going to show in a bit with the other feature, and all the crazy experimental stuff is going on in this other room where all the elves and gnomes and Santas are, building things. And eventually it gets promoted from the Santa room over to Legendary SK's, robot inspection chain.
Yeah, I'm looking at this giant list here. It is it's overwhelming to scan, right? Stars, awards, there's a lot of stuff that most people won't see, understand, but my goodness. Yeah, I can see why you're kind of looking at it. You kind of get that like deer in the headlights kind of feeling. Was like, look, I don't even know where to start on this list of number of things. So let's wrap it up. Just suffice to say, oh my God, a ton of changes are going in, and the team is just picking up momentum right now. But you mentioned a video. Is it time to share that video of that new
I think
feature?
it is. I don't know who wants to upload it. I could upload it. I thought maybe Musashi
I
had a
can,
copy of it.
yeah, I can drop it in 1 second.
Nice.
I'm hoping that it doesn't have the issues we had last week with the format. That we'll see.
Let's drop it in there. If you need a minute, I can share a bunch of art too, which is pretty cool.
It's uploading.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh,
I
I see
think
it.
it
boom.
worked.
Want
Oh
to,
wait, that's a screenshot. Oh no, there's a video.
yeah. Shows this video for me. Can you kind of share what we're looking at?
Yes. So this is our proximity effects hover. That when you're going to place a building, the game will now tell you what kind of proximity effects are going to affect that building when it lands. Building being, slang.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Some
great,
sort
right?
of playful object that has that is affected by proximity, right?
Yeah. It's
What do
one
you,
of those. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, what do you guys think? Is it cool? Like it? I gotta ask you. I gotta ask you this hard question that everybody was saying. It's like we want to be able to click back and see where proximity is as replacing stuff. Does this kind of help that? Help as one odd gent says, a game changer. Yeah. New grid, new way of placing things, a little smoother placement. Subgrids are still in there. We don't call them that anymore. We call them precision placement. The ability to place objects at a little bit of an offset. You can imagine the design space that this is creating for everybody. So, yes. So coming soon, coming soon. And thanks, guys, for being patient. I know when we first released the first version of Precision Placement, it's a little clunky, little hard to use. We got the grids in there. People are like, "We love the grids." Now you can see how this is all building to a better. We hope a better and more enjoyable, easier new player experience here. All right, Michelle, where are we in our where are we in our agenda? That's like we said, there's so much in TSL, or excuse me, TSG. Maybe we should share some of that art.
Yeah, definitely jump into art.
All right, so I'm gonna hit the upload button right now on some art for you guys to see. So it's a little bit of showing what's coming, some work in progress. Gina Bobina is the one drawing this. This is concept art here. And let me just explain a little bit about what you're seeing. So cocoa beans. Oh my gosh, who would have ever expected that cocoa beans were kind of hard to move to the new format, right? And so you can see in a couple of those images, just what we do. We have this playboard where we drop the new concept art into, and we see how it looks compared to everything else. We've talked about this before. So you can see the different experiments with cocoa beans there. And literally, it's, the game board that we're using is much bigger than what you see on the screen. But the whole idea is, how do we get this thing to look good, but also perform well in the engine? The next one of the next pictures there is Wildflower and Clayfield. And you can see that is one of the later iterations of both of those. Again, it's a fun challenge because you go from, the wild clover, which kind of look like colored golf balls or marbles, into actual flowers there. And then the clay field, trying to get a little bit of that more organic feel. You guys have seen this already in Gina Bobina's work there. So, and then we place that inside, and you can see what they look like next to all the other buildings. And then, you go, what is that gray image? Well, I wanted to share that because that was work in progress of actually going from concept to in-game model. And like we mentioned, there's the challenge there of how do we keep how do we keep the polys low? How do we keep the texture depths low so that and still have it look good so that we don't crush the frame rate? 'Cause we know Godot's a great engine. Everything's moving much faster and easier. But oh my gosh, if we're not careful, we can blow ourselves out of the water. Now, the next thing I want to show, which Gina and I are kind of laughing at it. Every once in a while, you run up against a piece of art that you are just like, how do we get this thing done? How do we get it done in a way that looks good? How do we get it done in a way that can work well in the game? All of those things, right? And that is, I'm going to share with you guys the wheat, the lonely little wheat there that is just causing us no end consternation. So there we go. That's just now popped in there. And when you look at that, oof, right? The very simple one is, our favorite, right? As we look at that, the image with the white background, they were like, oh, that looks really good. Nice to replace those big giant blocks. But then when you start putting them in game, and there's all different variations in that other shot that I show, you run into all sorts of complexity issues, too much happening on the screen at once, visual clarity, all of those things. And so we're working on trying to do that. So yeah, just want to give you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of how this is all coming together, all the work that we're doing as we're prepping to get ready for this, as we talked about, massive art conversion and upgrade process. Anybody have any questions on those? Thanks for all the comments and notes. A lot of work going on behind the scenes there. Oh, Willow, nice head explosion. Cake rear windows look cool. Yeah. Again, and Vulture, yeah, you look at it and you're like, wow, look at all the things on this that we have to fix up. And how do we make the windows look good? And how do we make the door sizes seem, consistent? And how do we make sure that when you have your cotton, it looks like cotton, not like little ping pong balls on sticks? And then how does it all look when you put it together? Because sometimes literally you have something that looks like this is amazing, but when you put it in a group, like some of the wheat, you're like, oh, this is not amazing. It's too visually confusing. All right. So, hey, you're welcome, Rocket Unit. So let's keep going, Michelle. What's next?
Did we want to talk quick about the town gala swap?
Oh, yes, Town Gala Swap. Oof. All right. So last night, some of you who are in gold might have seen me announce, yay, it's live. And then that replace that message with, hey, yeah, we ran into some problems. We're testing it. Thank you for everybody for your patience on that one. Everything, as happens, you test your apps, you test your work, your code in what we call staging environment. We put it through the QA environment. And then when we go live to the world, new issues pop up. And we found some issues. Yeah, we found some issues there that we had to sort out. Dubstep, yeah, I took that message down because what we didn't need while we were trying to debug it is even more and more people jumping in there and trying to figure it out. So Boney Chill, yeah, they're working on that. The background the team is debugging everything today, and as soon as we have more information, we'll make sure that we get that out to everybody. And yes, we know it's an absolute critical thing that we get that right. We will. So what I told you was true from a certain point of view. I'm not sure what that means, Dash, but as soon as we get that done, we'll share that with everybody. And just as a macro note for everybody who's just joining us, don't know what Town Swap is. We announced in January that we would be swapping all TownCoin for Gala Coin at a ratio of 1.25 Town per Gala. And that when we get this, finish getting this this app up and working live, there'll be a 6-month window for people to convert their town. And someone was asking last night, what happens with town after that? We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out and then let everybody know, of course. Our first mission is to get this swap up and working. What's next, Michelle? Or does anybody have any questions on that? Go ahead and ask. And then while we're moving other things, we'll pick up those questions as well.
I think the next thing on my agenda to talk about is the expanded playtest. I know it didn't go live this week. I think that we think it might be either next week or the week after. We want to get this proximity pop-up in so that everybody can smoothly play the game. And there might be some server scaling that needs to happen, I think, probably. But then we should be able to open that up.
Yeah, let me jump into that because we were just bringing this up in our meeting yesterday where it's like, okay, well, we have the list of players that we want to expand it to. And then I asked the question, what happens if we just would open it to everybody? And because one of the things we found is Volcran says the servers are extremely stable, good news on that front. And so from that point of view, wow, what if we just had more people come in and playing, testing, digging out other bugs, weird configurations, weird browsers, weird computers, whatever, weird internet connections, all of those things that typically happen. So we'll be able to, we'll have an announcement on whether we go completely wide next week, completely open, or whether we just continue to scale it up. But I know the proximity effect dialogue is a big thing we want to make sure everybody has and gets to play with as soon as possible.
That's really all I have on my list, unless we have any other timeline updates. If not, we can move on to live questions.
Yeah, let me just, I'll talk for a second about some behind the scenes work that we've got going on the production side of the team. We mentioned before, wow, we want to be live in March when have everything opened up, but we ran into some bugs and some server config issues and just a whole host of things like power going out in different parts of the country, just a number of things, and even in a recent case of COVID again. Right. So right now behind the scenes, we're doing a lot of planning and rework on schedules and milestones. And I promised that we'd have an update this week for it. Fortunately, we don't. Team worked really hard, but like I said, some other things came up that got in the way. So we'll do that next week. And you apologize for that. We were all really sure we would have that update for you guys today. Just didn't quite get it. It's now targeted for Monday or Tuesday, I think, next week. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. And then again, let's talk about this timeline. Our goal is to get the Townstar Godot version launched parity plus a little bit from what you're seeing currently in the live game. Once that's launched and tested and we really make sure it's good, then we turn on earnings, both for what we call sandbox play and competition mode. And because that point is so hypercritical, we want to make sure everything is up and working well, not only with the game, but also with the chain, so that when you guys come in and start playing it in earnest, you just can focus on having fun. So there's testing we're going to make sure we really, really get right for this for you guys. Thanks, went on, Gent. Yeah, we're trying to just be as open and transparent as we can with everybody. What's next? Are we on to the next part, or should we take just a moment and look for questions?
Yeah, let's look for questions. Anyone have any questions out there?
Shivo, are you going to address the cheating that's going on? Yeah, well, let's talk about that. That's why we're all moving to Godot, right? We've been talking about this since last year. Townstar Live, the architecture of the engine, the architecture of the game, and the way the engine is set up, it is client authoritative. And so, having done client authoritative games in the past, I know that that architecture, the way the engine is set up that way, just dooms the team to continuous hacker blocking, cheater blocking, and it just consumes so much time. And so that was the big reason that we're moving to this new engine and the new architecture. So rest assured, we get it, and that's why we've literally spent all this time, energy, and money to get us to this new version. We believe in the game. We just have to get it in a stable platform, and then wow, look at all you've heard us talk about all the cool stuff that's coming. You're starting to see some of it show up with the grid, with precision placement, with a proximity effect showing up, and just more and more things are going to be coming in. A couple of people asking about the new media guy. He's actually moved on. Wish him the best of luck. What other questions do we have in here?
I see Griffey has a question about the rewards from the February competitions. Those have not been sent yet. We did have some issues with the one person who knows the most about how the process works and how removing cheaters works properly. The one with the most experience is currently out. He doesn't have power. I think it was a snowstorm, but we're not gonna proceed forward with that until he gets back because he has the most experience. So we're just waiting to make sure that it gets done properly. So it just got a slight delay.
Boney Chill. I wonder why is client authoritative in the first place? I don't know. It was made before I got here. If it was the first client authoritative game I actually played was Subspace, or not played, managed was Subspace. If you guys remember that from the old Virgin days, right? That taught me then, oh my God, never do a client authoritative again. So it was pretty clear. And it wasn't just me, but everybody else knew. Let's go with server authoritative. And if everybody's wondering, what does client authoritative mean? Let me give you a real world analogy. Let's pretend you would go to an ATM and the ATM is in the bank were set up as a client authoritative setup or architecture. When you go to the ATM, you're like, hey, ATM, guess what? I have $10 bazillion in my bank account. Please give it to me. And the ATM would call the bank and say, please hand over Mark's $10 bazillion he'd like to withdraw it right now. And the bank would say, sure, right? That's what client authoritative means, right? So anybody, look at all the ATMs out there. Anybody walks up, hacks an ATM, figures out a script to run on it, and boom, they're a cheater. So that's the same thing. So we're just switching it and saying, hey, no, ATM, the bank is in charge. And Mark does not have $10 bazillion in his checking account. So, tell him no, thank you. Right? That's how we do it. All right. Any other notes or questions, or should we move forward? I know we got more stuff on the agenda. What do you think, Michelle? What's next?
Yeah, if we don't have any other live questions, then we
Okay.
can move on to, I think, Mal's story time, which is everyone's favorite part of the AMA, I think, now.
Wow, story time.
Oh my, story time. I feel like these weeks get quicker and quicker. I feel like the AMA was yesterday. Anyway, so before I go on to that, I just want to say I fully enjoyed the response to the portal. Corrupted portal went in the game. It's been embraced well. I absolutely love how the memes, for a start, there's so many wonderful memes. I can't say how pleased I am with those memes. People have immediately embraced the respect that such a corrupted object should get, and it's been rather funny. And also just in terms of what the feature does for the game, the strategy it's added, the fact that people who don't get as much time actually get to benefit from their cash. I've seen a lot of responses from both active players and the players who struggle to get as much time. And so it's nice to see a feature actually sort of be globally embraced, which I always love to see. But talking of corrupted portals, so last week I gave the first half of the story, and for anyone who might have missed that, I will give a speed waffle recap. So the engineer and the engineer's in the chat, by the way, dude, Brogan. I tagged him just before, and he will take any live questions around the live game. Sometimes there's devs in the chat that ask technical questions, and me and Michelle don't really have the best answers to give. So if anyone's just curious because they understand the tech and want to just know why certain things couldn't be done or weren't done or have been done and failed, we've tried many things, and of course, this is one of the major reasons we're moving to Godot, as Sage has just explained. So I think it's where, if you're just curious, you can always ask. But anyway, so me and the engineer went to visit Brian. Who is Brian? Brian is our amazing 3D artist who makes all these wonderful things that you see, and he crafts in your NFTs. I know the UFO and the gecko have always been such prized ones visually. Of course, Brian made those. All the new crafts, even old crafts and buildings. This is Brian. Brian made me a portal. And when me and the engineer went to collect the portal, Brian was gone. And the portal was on, and it looked different, and there was something wrong. And this wasn't a good moment for the engineer, he seen that Brian was gone. He was like, I'm not touching this portal. I'm not going near that. So he took a week off. He was gone. So we were 2 staff down. And I thought, there's no way I'm calling Sage to tell him we are 2 staff down. So this is when Operation Nothing to See Here, boss, came into full swing. So I grabbed my club. I got in the portal. I went to search for Brian. I found stuff inscribed on the walls around corrupted beasts and lands and treasures and caves and all sorts of things I didn't understand. I was approached by 2 bugs. One of them refused to help me find Brian, so now he's no longer with us. He remains a pile of goo and keratin pieces on the floor, and I convinced his friend very peacefully to assist me in finding Brian. And just like that, me and this creature have wandered off. We called him Legs because he has a name we can't pronounce, and that is who he will be. You might see Legs in the future, who knows? But he led me to a cave where we found footprints, and they were definitely Brian's. And that is where I left off. So, on that cave, bought a symbol of snakes. It said forbidden, corrupted. But there was no way I was calling Sage to tell him we were 2 staff down. So, in that cave I went. It was very dusty, it was cold, I didn't really know where I was going. There was lefts and rights, and it just felt like it was never ending. And as I began to stroll through this cave, I could hear sounds, hisses, noises, and I thought, this can't be good. But I had my club, and I was ready to swing it. So I kept walking, narrow passage, having to force myself through some passages. They were so thin, I thought, there's no way. I can't see footprints anymore. I must be in the wrong place. But I needed to find Brian. So I kept walking and squeezing through all these passages until I found a small chamber. And out the ground rose 2 snakes, giant snakes. I'd never seen anything like it. One black, one gold. One of them says to me, "You there, strange creature. How dare you enter this cave? Leave now." I said, "I will leave if you help me find Brian, because there's no way I'm calling Sage." And the second snake said, "No, we will not help you. You must leave now." And of course, because I wasn't going to call anyone, the battle ensued. I was swinging as best I could, but I realized there was just no way that I could possibly defeat these 2 snakes in this chamber. So I began to plot a plan while I was fighting, and very quickly made a tactical retreat, like any smart man would. I ran to the narrow chambers, and to my surprise, they both got stuck. So I clobbered both their heads, and they were unconscious. And I could now get on about my business, finding Brian. So I kept walking, thinking, 2 unconscious snakes, what else am I going to find in these caves? There's been bugs and all sorts. I can still hear whispers, and I wonder what is going to be next. But to my surprise, I start to notice footprints on the ground. So I follow these, and I start to see a glow, an eerie glow. There's almost a warmth that matches this glow, and I can see very clear footprints. So I shout, "Brian!" And a few seconds later, I hear, "Mal, you must come and see this." And it is, in fact, Brian. I walk into this room, and I see Brian staring at the walls. These walls are inscribed with things I don't understand. These are for the crafters, those creators from the shadowy realms like Brian. Places where Todd is familiar. This was wonderful information, he told me. This was secrets. This was information that we did not have and could do so much with. I said, "This is wonderful, Brian. Now we need to leave." And as I turned around, I noticed in this room, there was treasures. Great treasures. There was artifacts, 9 artifacts I could count. I thought to myself, what the hell is going on here? But I knew, as the British man I am, and as all my ancestors shouted out, as the loot gobblers they are, I was claiming all of that to be mine. Because we've got Brian, we can get the engineer back, and now we've got some loot. And I knew I was going to bring those treasures home in the idea of preserving history. We like that in England, let me tell you. They were my artifacts now, they were my treasures, and I'd claim them. Brian had his information, and he was happy. The walls had given him secrets. And for all the efforts and all the fights, I had found treasures. This was wonderful. This makes me very happy. I can hear the ancestors cheering in the background. The museums would be stocked, they said. But I thought, how do we get all these back, I wonder? I said, Brian, I've got an idea. And Brian says to me, I don't like the look that you're giving me, but I sense we're not leaving without these treasures. And he was right. I told him there was 2 snakes that are unconscious, and these might be very useful. We just need to make them our friends. How do we do such things? We did not know. But still, we needed these giant snakes to tug those artifacts out of the cave and to the portal, because they were mine and I wanted them. I needed to return with something for the efforts. So we went and convinced these 2 snakes, 1 black, 1 gold. We need help. We will free you from the narrow passage that you have got yourself stuck in. Or you can stay and fade with time. That's fine. And of course, these were wise snakes, and they agreed. So now we have more friends. There's legs. We've got snakes. This is an interesting world, this corrupted place. But I had no time to worry about what was going on there. I needed Brian back and those treasures. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm very, very happy to say that we got back to the portal safely, that Brian has returned safely. The engineer came back and put the portal in the game. And it has all worked out great because there is treasures in my back pocket. And Sage was never called, and that makes Operation Nothing to See Here, boss, a complete success. But then it began to dawn on me. I don't now know what to do with so many treasures. It's building up, you know, all these diamonds I'm pulling out the ground, and there's all these giant buildings, and then there's artifacts and treasures, and I don't know what to do. But I do know I like to see this community very happy. And I wondered, what could I do? How could I make this really, really interesting? You see, there's a point, I find it in gaming as well, at that moment where you might get a loot, where you just don't know. But you know the prize is just so big, it's just such a rush. I love that little moment. It's wonderful. And I think, how can we do that? How can we do something we haven't done? How can we mix it up? Because we do like to do that round here. We do like to get things to be slightly different and see. So everyone, come and join me now for a walk, and I'll explain what is coming. Because it might melt a few brains. I have absolutely no idea. But let me tell you now, as we walk along, I have 9 ancient, corrupted stands in my back left pocket. And in my right back pocket, I have 8 luxury, legendary items. These are storages, luxury storages, and they're legendary. And they're in the back right pocket. And as we walk along now, I am moving all 17 of these to my front right pocket. 9 ancient corrupted stands and 8 luxury legendary storages. They are now in my front right pocket. I put my hand in and I'm mixing. It's like an NFT gravy. If you could see me now, you'd call me Edward Whisk Hands, because of the mixing that's going on in this pocket. And now we've walked a little bit further, and I feel very satisfied that these are mixed. In my front left pocket, I have a special case. A pack, but not just any pack. This is a beefy pack. If this pack had arms and legs, it would be a doorman, and it would ask you for ID. It would tell you you've had too much to drink tonight and you better find somewhere else. It's beefy because it needs to contain what might be inside. The corrupted powers that might be within one of those ancients. And this was made by the great Todd, so you can be sure that this is a well-forged, well-reinforced, beefy pack, because it had to be. And it doesn't have arms and legs, so it will not give you any hassle. But you, if you acquire one of these, will be certain to want to open it to see what powers are in. And on this pack, it bears the symbol of two snakes as a reminder of our troubles to recover Brian and these loots. And in my inside pocket, I have two pens. One is invisible ink and one is visible ink. And I pull out the invisible ink pen and I write Mal's on that pack. I put that pen away and I pull out the visible ink pen. And I write Townstar Corrupted Luxury Pack. And this pack, I will now tell you all about it. And let's see if we can do something a little bit crazy and a little bit exciting. You see, when it comes to ancient NFTs, I think the most recent good example would be something like the Beacon of Light. This is a multiple $1,000 NFT and it is extremely limited. It means very few people get to enjoy such things or have the opportunity, which is what this is about, of it's just those few people who can, and that's that. It's also easy in that sense. And I want to do that a bit different. So this pack, this beefy pack forged by the great artist Todd, will contain either an ancient or a legendary. That means there will only be one item per pack, but there will only be an ancient or a luxury legendary item. That is it. There are only two rarity potentials. I'm sure people are now, because I cannot see the chat because I'd be heavily distracted trying to think, but I'm sure people are curious. 9 ancient corrupted stands and 8 luxury legendary storages. Now, for anyone who's realized, that means there is more ancient unique types than legendary unique types available. You're also probably very curious of how many of each. Let me tell you about that. So I went and spoke to Brian and I asked if he'd learned anything new in those caves that could help us. And with a big smile in his shadowy realms that he was excited to be back here, he said, yes, let me do a little something for you. And he was able to turn each 9 stand, he was able to clone it. I asked to preserve. See, time had took its toll. The elements had come on these treasures hard. It is a rough place, the corrupted land. So the elements had done the job in wearing them down with the power that had never faded. And I asked him to keep that wonderful look, to preserve the history as we like. So he did. And he was able to recreate 50 of each ancient corrupted stand. That means it is 450 ancient corrupted stands. 9 unique types. And each one gives a passive craft, of course, of a 6 radius. That's a big radius. That is a nice, healthy range across your town, especially with the planning and perfections that people do. And of course, if you've just seen the leak from Sage, you will see the extra fine precision, which makes a 6 radius extra nice, in my opinion. And you're probably thinking, what's 6 radius? Well, we'll talk about that. But first, let's talk luxury legendary storages. So there's 8 unique legendaries, okay? And Brian was able to work some magic here because he wanted them to be luxury. And we're all very grateful for this. So these legendary storages do not hold a capacity of 100 like normal. They have a capacity of 150 of their respective crafts because they are luxury. They have no shade, none of them. And they all hold 150 of their respective crafts. That is a lot. That is a lot of crafts. I mean, I don't know what you do with that many crafts, but that's a lot. So, that'd be nice. I'm just saying, that's a lot of crafts. And no shade, which is always wonderful. Now, some of these are new storages and some of them aren't. And that's that. And you're going to hear all about it in just a moment as I prepare the list so I get it right. I did prepare a list for once in my life, which is wonderful. I'm sure the team is very excited. But there are 300 of each luxury storage. That means there's 2,400 total luxury storages. So when you combine the amount of ancients and legendaries, that is 2,850. 450 ancients, 2,400 legendaries. And then these items themselves, we can discuss the utility now. I feel like it's time to do the big reveal, but I'm of course going to go in the legendary, then the ancients, because that would be the right way to do it. So, storages, 150 capacity, legendary, and these are luxury storages. Energy storage, cake storage, wood storage, uniform storage, mineral storage, milk storage, sugar storage, and oak wood storage. I repeat, all of these are 150 capacity. All of these have no shade, and there will be some information posted later explaining all of these in a list so you can see it all, but that will be after the AMA. And of course, there'll be a blog and all that good stuff, so no one worry there if you missed anything, or I said it too quickly, or you just can't understand the word that I say, because I've been told that as well, which is fine. So there will be plenty of well-written information detailing all of this. Now, shall we discuss the ancients? I feel like we are all probably very keen to hear about some ancients. I haven't checked the chat in some time. So, the ancient corrupted stands. They're going to be a 6 radius. They require no road. They do not give any other proximities like shade and anything like that. So they can go in a lot of good places. So corrupted cocoa stand. Corrupted Cabernet grape stand. Corrupted Chardonnay grape stand. Corrupted Pinot grape stand. Corrupted peppermint stand, corrupted pumpkin stand, corrupted limestone stand, corrupted chromium stand, and corrupted silica stand. And I remind everyone, they are a 6 radius, they are ancient NFTs, no road, and there are 50 of each. So now let's discuss the pack price and the date. So the pack price, I thought long and hard around this. You see, a lot of those ancients are, of course, extremely powerful. They would normally be done in a different way, which would make them out of the range of a lot of people. And, of course, more limited and stuff like that. And I feel like this is a way where it sort of really opens up the party, I think. So that's what it's going to be, because these are going to be $350 a pack. I repeat, $350 a pack. But every single pack you buy up until the 31st of March, which will have all this information about the promotion, very clear, also detailed. But for the first, I don't know, is it just not be about 2 weeks of sale is on Monday, so just over 2 weeks you'll have, and every pack you buy, you will get a free rare pottery shop NFT. There is no limit. And this pottery shop is immune to dirty. I repeat, it is immune to dirty. So it is not going to have those lengthy timers if it needs energy, which I'm sure some people are happy to hear. And that is for every pack sold up until the promotion ends. And if all packs were sold before then they would be 2,850 pottery shops, because it would be with every single pack. No limits. You could, if you buy 100 packs, you get 100 pottery shops. It's as simple as that. And this is a rare pottery shop that is immune to dirty. Pack price is $350. There's 2,850 of these packs. They'll be in store Monday. I think the usual time we've been doing now, 11 a.m. PST, is it? I believe. All the dates are going to be very clear. And let me just check the payments because I need to be clear that it's with everything going on. I don't have a message off Top Boy. So I'll wait for that, but that'll be clear. Gala Town, 11 a.m. PST. So it'll be Gala Town only. If people are wondering about credit card, I believe it's for this type, it's a bit tricky with the credit card. It doesn't work, so that's why we have to do Gala Town to save sort of any hassle around that. And again, I just want to point out I appreciate this is on Ethereum, and we are very close now to being able to do such things on Giri, but the reason we didn't is because you wouldn't be able to use anything that you got until we were moved over onto Godot, which of course we're all can't wait for, and it's coming so close. But I feel like there's a couple of competitions, and I feel like there's definitely a few NFTs in here that you're going to be wanting to use with the competition. So this is why I've put it on Ethereum. Just as a note there, because I feel like people will ask, but this is the type of thing we will then be doing on Giri, and we won't have the hassle of any fees or any sort of stuff like that. I'm sure people want to leak around the Ghost Card NFT. You know, I was a little unsure because I had a few in mind, but I was doing some thinking anyway, and I feel like the pottery shop was in good theme. And it definitely has slow timers, even if you had a rare one that was immune, it doesn't have the quickest timers in the world. So I feel like the pottery shop is a nice one for the Ghost Card. And I know we do get to use pottery shops fairly often. So I don't know if I've missed any other leaks or anyone else supposed to say, Michelle.
I think you got it all.
Okay, I wasn't reading chat, so I have no idea if anyone asked me anything.
So I'm starting to see the full extent of the nothing to see here project you've been talking about. I think you've quite literally blown a lot of people's minds with this, Mal. It's pretty insane.
Good. I hope everyone's happy then. I'll go and have a scroll up and try and catch up.
Take a look. Take a look. Man, that's a lot of stuff. I'm a little bit shocked myself. This is it sounds so freaking awesome.
Good. Great to hear. I don't think I have any other leaks. I did say there'll be a slight reevaluation around the cost of buffs, just with the portal being in now. I think it's interesting. I get to now do a little bit of rebalancing there, which will keep me very happily busy. Just as a note to everyone else, for the next competition for the NFT one, the buffs will probably be rearranged cost-wise, as an interesting note.
I'm watching all of the scrolls go by. Insane is a polite way to put it. Nutty bollocks zany. Look at that pack, right? It's incredible artwork, guys. Incredible.
Yeah, the art on that pack is absolutely beautiful.
It is amazing.
Nice job,
I
Todd.
love it.
Yeah, Todd, he went all in, and he just does amazing things as always. But yeah, I was extremely impressed, and he just brings it to life as always. So a big shout out and thank you to Todd.
Yeah. So one of the notes that came up is no credit cards because we want you to be able to open the packs immediately. Holy cow. Okay. Well, man, it kind of feels like I and maybe the rest of the audience out there is a little bit reeling from all of this insane stuff, Mal. This is just amazing. Just literally jaw dropping. Kind of takes the words out of my mouth. So, oof. Michelle, help us out. Is there anything left on our agenda today?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm pretty sure we went through everything unless anyone has any last minute questions. If not, we can
Yeah.
close it up.
Last minute questions, everybody. No, everybody is just kind of reeling in there, talking about purchasing. This is really good stuff. Oof. And yeah, shout out to the Townstar Live team for making this happen, guys. It's incredible. You guys just keep doing great work. So thank you so much for that.
I'm just scrolling up and I said someone put, can they keep it? And I'm just thinking that maybe I'll go and speak to Top. I wonder if we can sort of do like, anyone who purchases a pack, we can just send the sort of just an NFT of the, of the artwork on the pack. Because I know people do like pack artwork. So we can try and do something anyway where, we can just sort of send like the, a nice piece of art or something like that. We'll have a think and we'll put a post out anyway.
So there's a note from Thataspis. Can we put the credit card back? When we do packs like this, we can't do credit card because then it creates a hold there on that pack. So we want people to be able to open it right away. So that's the reason why I took off credit card for this one. We'll bring it back for other ones, but just not this one. No, you got it right, Griffey. Thank you for answering that. All right. I'm not seeing Michelle. Did Off-Grid Rancher is asking about questions that were sent in. Was there more questions that we didn't answer? We always love you guys putting in your questions. Sometimes, oddly enough, there's not a lot of questions that people submit ahead of time.
I checked yesterday before I went to bed, and the only 2 questions in the new AMA form were, what is the Ethereum gas cost, which varies day to day, minute to minute. So there's no way to tell you what Ethereum gas cost is, but there are plenty of places online you can go to look to see what the Ethereum gas cost is minute for minute. And someone else asked if we could share a graph of all of the Townstar players and their ranks over time for the last 6 months. And that is definitely not something we're planning on doing.
Yeah, great point. Want Jen, how do I get all these brain stains off me? Off my clothes. Yeah, it is it just insane. Mel, thank you. Seriously, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and call it a wrap for today. Thank you everybody for joining us. Love your questions, love your memes, love your posts and everything. And also, like we just saw, thank you for supporting new players in the community, people who maybe haven't been around and are now back to see what's going on with all the buzz and the hype. And also thank you all for all the nice comments in terms of the artwork on Godot and the code changes and your continued support for playing and testing that version of the game out. Team's working hard. As we heard with Volcron, the list of changes, I looked at it. It was just overwhelming to see on my screen. I couldn't even, focus because there's so many different items in there and so many different parts of the code getting fixed up and changed. So everybody's working really hard, and you guys' support and energy and kind words and thoughtful feedback are really, really appreciated. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. And folks on stage, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your notes and information, story time, technology changes, great notes about the proximity effects and everything like that. It's been just a joy again this morning, as always. So say goodbye, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Nacho G, thanks for being there. Wiggler, Bullhound, sorry, I just cut off the Biro. Gosh, seen you for a while around here. Remember, you're one of the early people. I couldn't get your name pronounced right. Ultimate, yeah. AMV, Alpha, Crypto Diver, Crazy KM, AP. Wow, G-Dub. Darkus, thanks for coming, guys. Griffey, thanks for answering that question out there. Moise, hey, how are you? Eric Rain, good to see you there. Thanks for joining us today. Dash, you too there. James Hodnett, welcome. Ian, welcome. Gosh, there's a lot of folks listening in. Of course, the AMAs get recorded automatically. So you'll be able to listen back on anything. And of course, if you have questions, ask in Discord. Mal and Michelle are always there. Buddha, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Channel Water, thank you. Citizen X, hey, how are you? Good to see you again.